So today I got a comment from someone on YouTube. They were asking me if I could help them make a holographic ammo counter for a gun in Unity, and they wanted to look like the assault rifle from Halo, but holographic. So I tried to take this general look and apply it to my project in Unity. Games like Dead Space also use things like this, and I think they do it really well, and I think it's a really cool concept, and I try to incorporate it into my own games. This Gamasutra article, which I'll link in the YouTube description, is really cool and will tell you more about the vocabulary. I think spatial UIs are really neat, and I enjoyed making this tutorial. So the project that I have set up is here, and I'll put a link to this in the YouTube description, so you can mess around with this and look at the code and everything. So everything that you see here will be in the project, and so you just click and you'll shoot a bullet, and you can the holographic counter is correctly linked up to the ammo variable on the shooting script. So once I hit 0, I won't be able to shoot anymore. So I'll walk you through how to do everything I have here from scratch. The main crux of this is world canvas right here, which is the child of the rifle model. And you can see that white square, so that is a world canvas. If you're more familiar with the default canvas, this is just a canvas that you can attach to something and make it a child of something else and have it move around in world. And a child to that canvas is ammo text, hollow ammo text. And you can see that smaller white square right there is where I have some code attached to that, and that grabs the ammo variable from the rifle. So the setup is basically I have the first-person controller from the Unity standard assets. If you see that green capsule, that is the actual controller, and I've just got that from standard assets. You can import that and just drag on, go into characters, first-person character, and FPS controller. FPS controller has an object called first-person character, which is the camera object. So I want the rifle to follow along with the camera, so I make the rifle a child of the camera. And the rifle object is just something I modeled in Blender. And this is also in the project, so if you want to edit this or mess around with that, Blender is it's an open source 3D modeling program, so you can just download that and mess around with that. I'm using version 2.77 here. So yeah, and I made a little raised area just like the assault rifle, just so I could place something in that area and it would have like a background to be on. A child of the rifle is the SP object, which is just a spawn point for the bullets, which are it's a really simple gun. It doesn't even raycast or anything, it's just shooting rigid bodies forward. And then the important part is the world canvas object, which is a canvas object, and then I just set this to world space. A child of that is hollow ammo text, and I'm going to look at the script for that. So it's the default text object, but I'm going to double click the script. And you can see here I have using Unity Engine UI. So back when they first released the UI, I had a lot of trouble with this. I would always try and edit text objects, but I get an error because I never included this. So to save yourself a lot of frustration, just remember this. If you're ever going to do anything with UI, you got to have that line, because I'll go over several lines without checking in my code, and then I'll come back to that and it'll be annoying. So, and then I set up a text object called ammo text, and in awake I set ammo text equal to the text component of this object. Then we go down to update. So every frame I'm going to take the text value of this, the .text value, and set it equal to the rifle, which I'll explain what that is. Get the component from there, which is called simple shoot, and get the variable from simple shoot called ammo, which is public, and set it to string and set it equal to this text value. So if we go back to the script in Unity, we have rifle, which is the public game object, which means it's exposed here. And if I click on it, you'll see it's highlighted yellow here, and rifle is again the model that I have. So rifle has simple shoot, and it's a really simple shooting script. I set ammo, and I have a public exposed bullet prefab, which is what it's firing, and the public spawn point, so I can just drag it in. And an update, every time you hit the mouse button, the left mouse button down, and ammo is greater than 0, it'll decrement ammo, and it'll instantiate a bullet that only goes forward. So the bullet script is just this. On start, it'll add a force in its forward vector, and it'll be in impulse mode, and so it'll just go forward, and in 2 seconds it destroys itself. So we have that, and we play an audio source, which is from the spawn point. So I'm going to do this from, oh, and there's also a point light, which is what you see here, just to give a little nice thing. And yeah, so I'm going to delete all this and do this from scratch. And the only important part here is the script on holo text. Everything else is kind of just for show. This holo decal is something I made in, I made this in GIMP, and it just has to be on a transparent background. You save it as a PNG into Unity. I saved it into a folder called sprites. Click on the file, set it to sprites, sprite 2D and UI, and I put a little auto rotation script on it that just rotates it every frame. And yeah, so it's a nice little effect. So the only thing that matters here is holo text. So let's delete all this and do it from scratch. So we have rifle, and we're going to right click on rifle, do create, go to UI, then go to canvas, go over to the canvas. Instead of making it, by default, it's screen space overlay, we're going to make it world space. And this is really inconvenient, so from going from screen space to world space, it's just still huge. It's this gigantic object. If I double click on it, that's how large it is. So what we're going to do is, knowing it's a child of rifle, let's go back to rifle. I'm going to make all this, let's start out with like maybe 50 by 50, so, or no, I'm sorry, that's going to be 0, 0, that's the position. We want the width to be 50 by 50, pivot's fine. Rotation, we're going to zero out the rotation, and I'll explain why I do this in a second, because once we zoom in, we'll better be able to see what's going on. So now when we zoom into canvas, it's like this, same as it was before, like a white kind of square. It could probably be smaller than that, so we'll make it like 20 by 20. And zoom in. So I zeroed out the rotation, so now you can see there's a slight rotation here. Yeah, you can see the global position here. You can see how the Y points straight up. That's the global position. If I hit X, it'll switch it to local, and that's the amount of tilt that it has. So now it's like it's always going to be at the same rotation as the rifle. So the text will stay in place, and it'll kind of look like that holographic text. So I'm going to rename this, I guess, world canvas, and then it needs a child object that's of type UI and of type text. And so this is odd. It's way too large, and as you can see, it's just it says new text over here, and it's just like gigantic. So what we're going to do is, also it's really pixelated, so I'm going to actually enlarge it a little bit. I'm going to get the height up. It's only going to be like a 2-digit number, so you can bring the width down a lot. And then I want that text to be at a decent resolution, so I'm going to up it to maybe like, no, it's too small, so yeah, let's change this to maybe like 10 so we can see it. So now we see that. That looks like a pretty good resolution. I'm going to change the color so it's back to that bright blue. So now we see that. Still way too big. 56, let's try 60. Okay, that looks better. It's still pixelated. You'll see when we scale it down, it looks a lot better. So it's still a child of world canvas. So we'll zero it out, or make these, I guess, just nice even numbers. 100 by 100. Rotation zeroed out, that's good. So it's at the same rotation as the canvas, which is the same rotation as the gun. And we'll just scale it down. Hit R, we'll click on the object, hit R, scale it down, and it looks, well, I lost track of it. I'm going to hit F to focus in on it, then hit W to, well, so I don't know if I want to move the text object or the whole thing. I think I'm going to move the whole canvas. So we'll center the text, and then center it again here. It's kind of like inside the gun right now, as you can see. So what I'm going to do is move the entire canvas instead of just the text object. And move it back, and then move it up. Still pretty big, so we'll scale it down some more. Yeah, So we want it to be kind of near that little notch that I put on the gun. And it's still pretty big. Did this move at all? Okay, so that's good. We'll scale it down some more. I'll add in that weird decal that I had, which is just like a little nice rotatey thing. I'll make it a child of the text object, just because why not? And when you drag it in, it is sprite. Well, if it's going to be a child of the canvas, I think I want it to be an image, so I'm going to delete that. Go into canvas, right click, do UI, image, and that's a big white default square. I don't want that, so I'm going to drag in hollow decal into the image and then scale that down as well. So it's zeroed out in position and rotation as well. So now if we just scale it down, you see that it does it real nice. And I think I went past. Scale it down slowly. Cool. And then we'll add that auto rotation script. Alright, so now we have that set up, and we'll rename this ammo text, whatever it was before, probably not that. And then we'll add that script. So that script was hollow ammo text, and it needs reference to the gun, the rifle. So we'll drag that in. That should just set the value. Hopefully get no errors when I run. And yeah, so I didn't set a rotation speed. That's really not necessary. It's one of those little things that I like. Set it to like 5 or whatever, but I think it worked perfectly. Yeah. So 2 quick things. I don't like that default font, I just realized, so I'm going to switch that. There's a folder in here called fonts, and I went to some Creative Commons website for some nice fonts, and I found Unique, which kind of looks like the Halo thing. Not really, but it works, and I like the way these numbers look. So I downloaded the TFF or whatever and brought it into Unity. We click on the ammo text object, just drag over the font. Now what's nicer, what else? Yeah, there's also some nice sounds in here that you can check out. It's from the Sonus audio library. They release like these free packages for audio. And let me just open that up and explore. Yeah, so there are these nice WAV sound files. I put the license PDF in here and the README. And I got these sounds from some bundle, and I just put these in here. The only sound I'm using is the single, or no, I'm using the, I'm not sure. I think I'm using the single shot, and it's just a nice sound, and sounds pretty cool. And it's a Creative Commons sound, so you can use it in your projects too. Check out the license if you have any questions about that. I think that wraps that up.